This is you. This is based on the true story. That was my first thought.
Roughly.
And then who is the beggar? Or who is the priest?
Well, see, the whole everything's turned, you know, because the priest.
I don't like strawberry like
Yeah, that's the part I got to. I got that part.
Yeah,
I really blew my mind.
I like strawberry jam.
So you caught the priest. Everyone's like,
but at the end, you kind of realize that the guy with the collar on is actually
Strawberry jam.
and the Joe Schmo, he's the carpenter or whatever we're making. He's actually the one.
we could really go really strong evangelical and really make him a part look exactly
like
the
why it's actually Jesus.
It's like
Jesus in a bar.
End of the story. It's
Oh,
like,
Jesus likes rye whiskey too. Wow, that's crazy.
Dude, I wrote 4 pages last night.
did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I did.
That's what we need to do. We need to. You remember that thing we did a long time ago?
Yeah.
About the circle?
I know I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it with this because I think this has. I'm just being arrogant. I feel like it has like a lot of potential. Like I would see this movie or read the
How about
book.
this?
You
How
know?
about this? You put together.
I
don't see it.
No, I
You
don't.
said it to
I
me.
need help making it because I have some general like
That's what I was gonna say.
thoughts, but I need some help.
It is
There.
a lot of classroom
That's what I'm
participation.
saying. It's a rough draft. You send it to me, and I'll continue on,
Okay.
and then we can get together and see if we like it. Or we can just.
Thank you.
A lot of what I'm writing from the priest is my own. But
No dialogue for it.
yeah, right. A lot of what I'm writing from the priest is just from my
Yeah, you
own
guys in the playground.
Yeah.
ish, you know. And so like all I've gone to so far is a little bit of the priest's backstory. I have this whole thing about him actually being like an evangelical pastor for 10 years, and then when he's like in his 30s, he converts to like Catholicism. He wants to be a Catholic priest. And so then he's a Catholic priest for like 20 years. So this guy's like in his mid-50s, late 50s. And like the opening scene is really just him like drinking more. And he sits and he's having this conversation with the bartender, and he gets us
And then
some drink.
I'm gonna rewrite into our whole
And he kind of loosens up his white collar, you know,
It's like I get hit
And you
at the
can
end
tell
of the
he's just,
episode,
like,
and I like
kind of dying on the inside.
have to change everything. So I
And it's like the next morning it flashes and he's like sitting in the confessional booth with someone. And so it's kind of like this whole like sequence of weeks that he keeps going back to the pub.
full size bookshelf.
And then that other
And,
guy,
I mean, it was not just like
they start dialoguing.
this
You know?
Did you ever listen to Neon Cathedral? I told you. Macklemore.
Yeah.
You should listen to the inspiration. He equates like
so while I was in
the
the middle
Neon
of it,
Cathedral
I
being the
have, like,
bar.
all of the
And that's like their. You should really listen to it. It's really good.
See, I'm trying to pull in whole like the best of Applebee's that we do like this Tuesday night like
And I was
cathedral of things where like the pretense
like
is
they
going.
were sure like when you were gonna do it. And so
So-
they're
You
like,
should send it to me. Do you have like written down what you type?
I typed
we are
it.
not prepared for the
What's
whole
on it?
stuff with me.
I have it.
And all of a
You may not
sudden-
know this, but I
And I
have
was
it.
like, oh, okay. And
I have
like,
somebody check this out.
And I was
Part of the whole there's a whole that I like between like that
oh no, we brought
priest and he's like
so now
he said something about a priest
we already
drinking
are.
and the priest was smart to say something about how he didn't want to drink alone tonight or
I
something.
just poured our house
And,
so like I had
And then the priest and the other guy said something about how he's like, what do you mean like being alone isn't what you do, like just you're with people. Like he's talking about it doesn't feel communal, it feels lonely being in front of these people. And it's like this whole like I'm just trying to get into
And I mean, I'm not like gross. I would not really.
why his faith is crashing.
So,
But then the other guy doesn't believe it.
all this work started.
He's kind of like
So now the kids are going in and out. I told the big kids,
But then they start having
I was paying $5.
thoughtful
Yeah, they were all in that.
dialogue.
Well, Shiloh though was like a revolving door.
I'm like,
Our front door and our
it's like
side door.
the gist of the movie
Like,
is
the
these two
front
guys
door play, and then our side door. So
conversing.
guys were like, I never
Having
knew
life
if he was
together, you know.
inside or outside, and they were playing in the backyard some, and so I was like, oh my gosh. this
And
is-
you could even extend it to where like the
And
priest's
so one point I was
diocese,
like,
the
I
bishops
feel
over
like my
him,
son's a little better.
like,
what the hell
he
do I
starts
do?
spending more of his
Make sure
time at
he
this
is
pub
sober.
with
Oh, we
this guy and a group
Oh,
of people that start surrounding
like
him
all
in
the
conversations
adults, like,
too.
thought everyone else was watching him.
Because then he becomes a priest, not
But
just like in
he finally like walked inside, right? Oh my
the
gosh.
cathedral out there, becomes a priest in the bar too.
It was so stressful.
Yeah, it's like this whole turn of events.
It was so chaotic. And then one of our neighbors.
I'm trying to find people too.
I second Europe.
While we were there, because my mother-in-law was hurting. Like,
I'm trying to find people too, my brain is like, dude, like I want the priest to be 50s
Like,
and like straggling.
it wasn't
Like
like
his
we had a
beard is
whole
like
like,
outgrown.
going. But
It's a
everyone
symbol
was
of his
also
life.
in
It's a
college.
symbol of
Our
life.
fire department comes by, and
I have a whole
they would super
I would
confused,
probably
like, you're like,
I have a whole scene where he wakes up in the morning
he's like,
and he
oh,
rolls out of bed and he's staring at himself after the shower and he pops the
it's
shave his
appropriate
beard
around the
He's
distance
getting
away
good.
from his house.
and he
And
keeps
it's like
stopping
not like I
because
was
it's a
told,
symbol
so
of his like
you're good. He's like,
identity.
you all have access
And
to
he
hose.
takes it
And he's
off.
like,
He
yeah,
feels
it's
like
like
it's
right around
really
the back.
like he has to have a shit again.
Yeah.
So he leaves it. It's all
So we're hoping it was someone
Big
who saw
and
smoke
struggling.
and just like wanted to call rather than
you
like
know the whole thing.
a close neighbor that was.
Him making the decision in the
I don't
morning to
think
not
we are
read his
close
Bible.
neighbors that are
That is
other neighbors, a retired man.
grabs a novel instead.
The thing.
Sits outside the window.
That would make sense. That would make sense. He's not very nice either. I tried to like wait to talk to him and he always like turns away. I hate that. You're
It's gonna
absolutely
to the
right.
term. I don't want to work with you.
And he works in the
How
gutter
about we
all the
just
time. So we're like,
Absolutely not. At that point, no. Might as well just.
he better.
Yay! Why don't you use this? This is a random ADHD thing. Why don't you use this?
They're all back there already.
Well, I'm not preaching today, so.
So, but I thought that was hilarious. Yeah. You're in trouble over there. So,
Nice.
I really did. I was not. I was like, oh my gosh, I was doing a lot of work.
I always do. I always get 2 points.
Right.
I want to do
Really,
it.
but I actually really love it.
I need you
Your
to
cadence with it. I feel like it's like every 4 to 6 months.
I don't have any usual cadence. I get it.
Besides, like,
And then I
Let's
have,
rearrange all the rooms.
well, we are. So I already, like, we already switched our room
I
back.
mean,
So those been swapped.
I'm absolutely on board.
And now we're
Actually.
playing musical furniture. So we're getting all
What am I gonna bring?
What's the difference between what you bring and what I bring? How do I bring something that you don't bring?
And we're moving
Like-
one table, 3
That's a good
desks.
one.
Like, I just have.
All I'm bringing is the genesis of an idea. That's the only thing that I
It's
have.
not like that. I have the
I'm just
that
going
feeling, but
Spark the first thought.
Yeah, I
That would
know,
be
like,
bad, yeah.
that's like, and it's kind of in that point where they're like, oh, I need us to do things.
Yeah.
We need to make
it.
these
like,
But they're
characters
always-
that are business.
I'm missing something.
Yeah, and just
Scott.
like, this will.
Oh, you mean you said
not like,
50?
I just want to-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like today, I'm gonna.
So he's weathered.
We had one.
His beard is great.
We realized that we.
I didn't want to make him like 25 because it's like, who's this loser who thinks he knows anything about ministry, you know?
And
He's too
they are like, they don't even stand up and
I wanted
say,
him to be able to,
"Oh, I'm gonna put
like,
them into the cubby." I have to
Have some time.
pull them out and then like.
And he's had some time.
And I'm like, this is way too hard to just slide this. So we have a wicker room.
You see, I'm trying to think about like, what's this other guy? What's his deal? What's his profession? How does it work?
Yeah.
The other guy?
Do they know each other? Did they know each other previously?
Yes, I know, that's Courtney's.
Or is it
that
just like
like
this
big
conversation that they strike up
private
before?
space. All of our doors and they.
I kind of had the thought that they loosely know each other.
You could do the whole tragic
Our
hero.
house is a hall in here. All of our interior, all of our interior doors
Like you
have
can make like
full interior
the other,
that are attached.
like
I'm
I guess
like frame one of those.
Yeah.
tragic hero being so example, excuse me, from the guy
Yeah. they're
We
all-
don't
I'm like, I don't know.
could also like.
I'm assuming that the people that live there before got this.
Oh God,
You don't know.
Oh God, he's lost his wife and kids in a fire.
The one with the back door.
But
he,
You get to the point where he's like, oh,
But
But every door is.
I need this guy.
the only door says, the master doesn't have one on it.
Starts like rebirth, and then he becomes that person. So he fulfills that void in the person. So now the priest is not priest.
40 years in our
But
tiny house.
I need names, dude. We gotta name these guys so we don't say the
not exactly.
Right.
I just have faces.
It's just an idea.
of what they look like.
There-
It's really all.
Yeah, it's like
This, I
it's
could
like
be
a-
up there and.
Like I don't want his name to be like.
And it's because
Like
of-
mine.
I don't want his name to be like.
There's classroom participation.
I would have sit right next to
So
him
that's
and I can stare at him.
Matthew,
why did you join?
It's like.
Huh?
Imagine you sit here all the way up.
No, you don't have to sit all the way up.
I would actually like to sit next to you.
Oh, wow, we started?
In the very.
Well, I just told them they all had to move up because I was like, it is not going to be me down here and then everyone else. We're not going to be back row Baptist here.
Yes. We're not even Baptist.
That's what I'm saying. So stop acting like it and being all the way back there.
We're not.
I'm in the young people.
Yeah. The seat's cold.
Corey, you and Kate have a very similar vibe going on this morning. You and Kate have a very similar vibe going on this morning.
Hot dad summer. Big baby.
You're not wearing your gold chain though. Oh.
Hot dad
He's
summer.
like, I'm not.
Hot dad summer. Sunday fit check is coming. Sunday fit check.
It's an honor.
Now, the honor's all mine.
When Corey and I were deep diving his Instagram last night, we went like way into like, you know, the caverns of things he posted in like 2015. It's a good time.
Always a good like
You
reminder.
just never know.
Yeah, it's
what
like
you're gonna find.
you really, if you're starting to feel too arrogant about yourself, just go deep dive your Instagram and Facebook, and then
should be public.
Yeah.
Blake would post the same picture with different filters.
I know.
On his thing.
you're like,
It's like, don't expose me like that.
Taylor's been on a kick of exposing my
yeah, shortcomings.
shortcomings the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, there was some with you and Corey that were like,
Me and Corey did some good ones.
He like deleted or archived every single one of his posts before she was born. He was like, I just want to start fresh.
No one should ever see this.
I was like, what? Come on.
but we realized that our fit checks that we have done get real incredibly
First, second, third.
high hits on Instagram. And so we're like, Corey's like, we're gonna start doing this more regularly and see if we can monetize it. And I was like, what in the world? Who is paying us to like dance and show our outfits? And he's like, I don't know, people like it.
People
would.
know the brand.
Yeah, clothing
Oh,
brands
yeah.
will be like, you're wearing this and you're one of your fit checks.
Yeah.
That'd be,
Here,
that'd be
Corey,
pretty cool.
here's a new gold
All
chain.
the
Like,
clothing brands, when you post it.
yes. But they get like all of his other ones are like a couple hundred or whatever, and then those are like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, and it's like us just
Pretty good.
dancing in front of a
But you
mirror.
just don't ever know what's gonna go and pop off.
I'm like, I mean, we're awesome. So
Those are actually my favorite ones that you guys.
the fit checks,
Yeah.
Yeah, those are
I
fun.
feel like there was one where was it Shiloh that ran through?
yes, Shiloh has
I just
bombed our fit checks multiple times.
Yeah, use your family too. Put
Yeah.
Shiloh in there like Shiloh fit check. I bet that one would go.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Do you see the picture Corey posted of him at the ball field yesterday?
Yeah, that was so
Oh my
good.
gosh.
That was a good picture.
It was so cute.
You can lock it underneath.
I just removed the chair. It was scary.
Yeah, you push the thing.
Yeah, some of those lean real far back.
Really? I love it when they lean.
The left-
I was sitting beside you last week, and you were like, I was like,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
about to be on the floor. Like,
How do you decide? This one doesn't lean. Well, that's my favorite part about these chairs. When I get a chair that doesn't lean, it upsets me.
Instead of like grabbing, like pushing up,
Who's had a better
Oh.
you kind of gotta
The
give it
idiots that
a.
work with are like, oh, it's rough, and it's not even close.
I love that you just like described them as the idiots I work with. Like,
The third best player in
just not the people I work with, it's idiots. It's a bunch of idiots I work with. I know that. A hot take is about to start coming. That's hilarious. Yeah. I definitely know Damien. Dame Dalla.
Maybe it just didn't make it fun.
I love him.
But no, I
That's
was
not a
at
hot
the
take,
floor,
that's
I
just
leaned
true.
back and I'm like, flying backwards. Yeah, terrible. I don't like.
Your blonde hair is just really doing it for me.
It's
good. It's nice and summery. And you're tan, so it's just like annoying.
Oh, to be tan,
I
right?
know.
All right, everybody, let's get the ball rolling. Happy. Oh, come on. This is the.
We were on our way to church this morning and passed by this couple that the man was shaving while he was driving. And he was wearing like an Oxford shirt and a suit jacket, and she was like very done up. And Corey's like, which Baptist church do we think they're going to? And I was like, do you think they're listening to this song as well?
Yes.
Huh?
I
Both of you
just-
introduced your children.
We didn't. We watched Like Mike
Why is that like Mike?
because it was a
I
revolution.
feel like shaving in the car is a terrible idea.
It was one of those electric ones. Like he was just sitting there like this.
Where's the shading?
Inside.
Inside.
Oh.
The electric shavers will hold the clip.
But don't you still have a
No.
little, like-
It like vacuums up the clippings as they're doing
It like
it.
goes all the way down.
It's actually a very common thing
In commuters.
90s, early 2000s of like men shaving on the way to work. Like brush your teeth in the shower,
I mean, I
shaving
do
on
like
shaving
that
in the car,
mascara.
putting makeup in the car, putting your makeup on the car.
Yeah, I don't
Same-
like
same
that.
thing.
That.
Same thing.
We
That's why I
would
watch all
have-
my movies. Yeah. Same thing. Yeah.
You actually engage in my movies on this.
Yeah, so if you have electric shavers, really nice ones will hold the. I mean, you have to, and then after you get done, you pop it open and
Empty it
take
out.
them out.
You need that.
Yours doesn't.
That shaves real low though.
If you're ever, if you're ever lucky enough to have an electric shaver.
If you're ever lucky enough.
Father's Day's coming up, y'all.
Yeah.
It's a plug.
Only $280.
Here's your unpaid ad.
What's the deal is?
You know, our grandmother's church on Mother's Day and Father's Day, they give out like pins or something, you know, to all the mothers and fathers. So on Father's Day, we'll give out
Electric razors.
electric razors.
Yes,
to
did
all the
they give
mothers.
an
anybody
offering
go
million
to
for?
a church where they had they had all the mothers stand up, but that's not all. They had all the mothers stand up, and then they were like, if you're over this age, if you're over this age, and then they had the oldest mother be standing, and then they did it to where they had the youngest mother standing, and then they did it to where they had the mother with the most children standing, and they each got a special gift.
Oh my gosh, like a prize.
Wow. It was very intense.
That's hilarious.
Just to get that prize.
Yeah.
To get a reward.
It was like, if you've got more than 3, if you've got more than 4, and it was like same person every year.
Yeah.
But
Right, because no one wants to pass her up. Be like, I'm not
It's
doing
like-
it.
Unless you get like triplets or something, it's pretty hard to
yeah,
pass
you
someone.
couldn't pass someone up. But they did it every
That's
year, and
hilarious.
they did it for Father's Day. The oldest, the youngest, and the most.
That's so funny.
And you got
We
a
could do that.
little flower arrangement or something.
We could do that.
Absolutely wild.
I want to read a little something for you guys. Partly because it's beautiful, but also he quotes Isaiah 49:15. It says, "Can a woman forget her nursing child and have no compassion or tenderness on the son of her womb? Even though these may forget, I won't forget you." That's what God says. I think it's a beautiful analogy that God is equating the God self with how a woman has a baby. I think it's beautiful. But I'm going to read a story that surrounds it and his commentary on it. So this is Brennan Manning. He says, one of my favorite stories is about a priest from Detroit who went on his 2-week summer vacation to Ireland. His one living uncle was about to celebrate his 80th birthday. On the great day, the priest and his uncle got up before dawn and dressed in silence. They took a long walk along the shore and stopped to watch the sunrise. Standing side by side, not a word exchanged, and staring straight at the rising sun. Suddenly, the uncle turned and went skipping down the road. He was radiant, beaming, smiling ear to ear. His nephew said, "Uncle Seamus," which is a great name. Is it Seamus? Seamus? Seamus?
Mhm.
Uncle Seamus, you look really happy. I am, lad. Want to tell me why? His 80-year-old uncle replied, "Yes, you see, my Abba is very fond of me." It's really powerful. How would you respond if I asked you this question? Do you honestly believe that God likes you? Not just loves you because theologically God has to love you. If you could answer with gut level honesty, "Oh yes, my Abba is very fond of me," you would experience a sense of compassion for yourself that approximates the meaning of tenderness. Can a woman forget her nursing child and have no compassion or tenderness on the son of her womb? Even though these may forget, I will not forget you. Scripture suggests that the essence of the divine nature is compassion, and that the heart of God is defined by tenderness. Another quote is, "By the tender mercy or compassion of our God, who from on high will bring the rising sun to visit us, to give light to those who live in darkness, and the shadow of death, to guide our feet into the way of peace." Richard Foster wrote, "God's heart is the most sensitive and tender of all. No act goes unnoticed, no matter how insignificant or small. A cup of cold water is enough to put tears in the eyes of God. Like the proud mother who is thrilled to receive a wilted bouquet of dandelions from her child, so God celebrates our feeble expressions of gratitude." That was beautiful, powerful. We're going to play a song and we'll name the good together. Corey, can you play? Sorry, I should have prepared you for this. Chris Renzema, Springtime. And then we'll name the good.
the resurrection that we've waited for. Buried the night, came with the morning. You're the King of heaven, praise is yours. The longer the quiet, the louder the chorus. We will sing a new song. His dead and gone with the winner. We will sing a new song. Let hallelujahs flow like a river. We're coming back to life, reaching toward the light. Your love is like springtime. You're the living water, God, we thirst for you. The dry and the barren will flower and bloom. You're the sun that's shining, you restore my soul. The deeper you call us, oh, the deeper we'll go. We'll sing a new song. He's dead and gone with the winner. We'll sing a new song. Let hallelujahs flow like a river. Coming back to life, reaching towards the light. Your love is like springtime. Come tend the soil, come tend the soil of my soul. And like a garden, I will grow. I will grow. Come tend the soil, come tend the soil of my soul. And like a garden, I will grow. I will grow. I will grow. I will grow. We will sing a new song. Stand is dead and gone with the winner. We will sing a new song. Hallelujah, flow like a river. Coming back to life, reaching towards the light. Your love is like springtime. Like springtime.
Thanks. I want to read this Isaiah 49 one more time because there's an extra line in here I think is really cool. This is from the Jerusalem Bible translation, though. It's from the 60s. It's technically it's a Catholic translations. Anyways, it's widely used and widely accepted. That's how I read it. So anyways, this is what it says. Zion was saying, Yahweh has abandoned me and the Lord has forgotten me. Which I feel like I say all the time. God has forgotten me. And then the line I read just a second ago. Does a woman forget her baby at the breast or fail to cherish the son of her womb? Yet even if these forget, I will never forget you. And 16 continues and it says, see, I have branded you on the palms of my hands. Now take that however you want to take it, with looking forward to the person of Jesus of Nazareth or not. But it's a beautiful picture of where we are sometimes when we say God has forgotten me. And God's like, there's no way I can forget. I think it's just really beautiful. So there you go. All right, let's name the good, the true, the beautiful that you've encountered this week. You've tasted, you've seen, and you've experienced.
We had an event last night for I'm part of a group called Freedom Flourishing, and there was like 30+ women there, just all gathered around, and all from like different groups of people. Like they weren't all connected by like one church, and they weren't all connected by like one place of work. It was just a bunch of women from different seasons and different groups, and it was just really beautiful to have all of those people in one room. So it was very successful and really fun.
It was a lot of fun. They did a great job.
Well, we got some cold brew out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cheers.
It's Andrew's birthday today.
Oh my
Andrew,
goodness.
you didn't tell us. Happy
No one
birthday.
knew.
You don't want to steal the mom's thunder.
Okay, well, I'm a mom every day, but it's only your birthday today.
Happy birthday,
Yeah.
Andrew.
Happy birthday, Andrew.
I got a great video to show of Andrew later, so just remind me after we're done.
He knew exactly. I mentioned it to him. He knew exactly which one.
Yeah, I was scouring my Instagram last night. I went to the depths.
It's still there. Still
I found-
exists.
I found baby Andrew and baby Noah at The Great Escape. It's a great video. It's a great video.
It'll blow your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might change your
Cinematic,
life.
like
It might change your life.
excellence.
You need some black and white or something.
It is in black and white.
And we also got to go celebrate with my best friend Rebecca yesterday. We got to go to her baby shower, so it's just fun to be a part of that season of life with her. So that was fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Saw you were putting together a crib.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mask.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
When does she do? Or when's the due date?
July 5th.
Oh, man.
Soon, heat of summer.
One day earlier, they have to name it America.
I was really horrified that I was gonna have a July birthday week. I really didn't want to. I was like, I don't want to have America's baby.
Yeah. I have
That would've
a
been
friend
nice
who
to
had a July
celebrate on that
baby,
day.
and it's real. Her birthday party's real cute every year.
I think it'd be sick.
A July 4th baby.
America Homelander Sanders.
One of my friends her daughter has a 4th of July birthday, and she was like 9 before she realized that the fireworks were not for her. Like she thought that like everyone, like she literally was like, yeah, like she's like everyone just gets super excited for my birthday and like does fireworks.
She probably goes to other birthday parties and is like, well, they don't get
Yeah, I know. It's like so sad for you that no one really cares about you. Yeah, she's like my friend was like, I just went with it. I didn't want to crush her that like these are not for her.
Fair enough. Like Rosie will get Fun Fest fireworks like a week late every year. There you go. So I'm like,
We'll just tell her that's her birthday.
Yes.
I'll give Corey a shout out for my name the good because I just why are you saying I said a shout out.
Sorry.
But I'm not always the easiest person to love because there's too much laughter around that statement. Because I have a lot of high expectations that I try to convince myself are not real, but then they are. And so then it just becomes like a real hard game to love me, to see if you can win. And, but he has just done, this morning he gave me a Mother's Day gift, and like the card was really thoughtful about like why he picked that card. And I like every time I was like, oh, you picked it because of this. And then I read a little more. I was like, no, you picked it because of this. And so it's like, he just knows me really well. And then he got me a gift card, and he knows I hate gift cards because I think that it's just what you give someone when you don't want to put any effort into it. And so you're like, everyone likes a gift card. And but he got me a gift card.
no, she hates it. Okay.
But he got me a gift card, and he immediately says, I know you hate gift cards, so let me tell you why I got you this. And like he knew why. And so it's just, yeah. So it's just, and like the reason why he did it was really thoughtful because he also knows something else about me. And the whole thing just made me feel very, very seen and very, very loved because every inch of it was like thought out for a reason and like why he wanted to do it. And it's all because like he knows me. and he's willing to put in the work to love me because it's not always easy. So I just really appreciate it. It made me feel really good.
It's good. Cheers.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
And my ego's just inflated.
You can check your Instagram again.
How many times can you get your wife something she hates, but then she ends up loving?
She actually
It's a challenge. It's just very hard to love. Like, I'm also competitive. So
We finished our school play yesterday, and
Sir.
it was a lot of fun. It was kind of stressful because there was lots of ups and downs, and we didn't think we were going to get to put on the show. And yeah, but we finished up yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. I'm really thankful for that. And on our last performance yesterday, one of my professors that's going to be at Milligan, that is the technical theater director, asked me to help him start designing some of the theater things for their fall production.
Cool.
Fun.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
That's
And
cool.
I was really honored to do it because, not even a student there yet. So that was really cool. Also, I broke Corey's son's bed. That's not the good I'm naming, but he was also just very understanding and forgiving, and I'm very appreciative of that.
I'm really
Because
confused.
we were
at
being
how this happened.
stupid, and it was me and my friends, and we were jumping on it, and then it bent, and we were like, "Whose bed is this?" And they were like, "Corey's." And we were like, "Oh."
He didn't even rat you out either. He just texted me and said, "Hey, someone broke our bed." So
And I feel really bad. Does
I didn't
Judah
even know it
yet?
was you.
Yeah, no, I'm. But I don't know. It was just I was very in my own head about it, and it kind of messed with me before we went up there. But thankful that Corey was very forgiving about it.
We live with Shiloh. We are very accustomed to things being destroyed.
Alright, everyone say something they hate.
We need to take this down.
His ego was already pretty big before he walked in here, so. Oh Lord.
Happy Mother's Day to me. The bed. It was Judah's old bed, so we just got Judah and Shiloh a bunk bed. So
But it was still being useful, but
And,
it's okay.
and he told us they're about to sell it. So yeah, and we were being really stupid. It was like
you want to tell them what you guys were doing?
we were. It was all three of us sitting on the bed, and I started bouncing up and down on the bed, and I was just being stupid because I was nervous.
was this why it was on the razors?
No.
Oh.
No.
I was like, that's a dangerous game to play.
And then another friend of mine came over, and we both started jumping on it. And then one of my other friends, who's like 6'4", he's very big, and he came over and just like plopped down on it. And then we heard like a, and it like dipped in the middle. We were like, oh no. So we got up and pulled the mattress off, and like we were like, oh, maybe we can fix it. The metal in the middle was like bent like a V. The bed was V-shaped by the time we were done. So I was like, oh no. And we didn't think we were going to be able to use it in the production either. So we were
That was probably more the stressful part. Was like, because it's a very key part in the very last.
in the
act.
in the very
Very
last
key,
act.
a very key thing.
But it's okay. We flipped it upside down, and Corey did some dad work on it, and it was all right.
I just feel very happy today because I guess for a while I didn't know what Mother's Day would look like, and so it always bothered me just because it felt outside of like my grasp, and so it's just sweet that this year I get to hold my baby for Mother's Day, and like she's just so much fun. And I was telling Kevin yesterday, like being a mom is my favorite thing I've ever done. And it feels like, because I always made the joke I'm not made to work. I've never loved or enjoyed a job that I've done because I always wanted to be a mom. And it's just been, like, I can genuinely say it's been the best 2 months. And so today is just like, it just feels really special. It feels like so many answered prayers. So I'm just happy to be
That's
here.
wonderful. Cheers. Anything else?
Oh yeah, and Kevin was this morning. He got me a gift, and he said he was like, since you couldn't go see Taylor Swift, I got
Brought
you.
Taylor Swift.
Bring-
Yeah.
Look outside your door. It's like bound and gagged.
Well, was that it?
Yeah, I was like-
I need to know.
He's still there. He's like, it's episode.
He got a shirt from the air store, so he had a friend that went and got a shirt for me.
Fun.
And so that was like so fun. And I'm like, how did you even think of that? Like what? And so
That's good.
now I have a cool Taylor Swift shirt. And it's great.
Nice.
People are gonna thank you.
Yes.
That's right.
That's all they need.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's just the clout. Like, that's all you're there for.
Man, shout out to Taylor Swift, man.
Love it.
Commanding the world.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything else? All right, we're gonna keep on. Emily's gonna lead today since you know it's Mother's Day and it feels.
And I'm a woman.
She's a woman.
And a mom.
Yeah, so.
What
But
a concept. A mother.
a mother. That's
Mother.
right. Yeah, it's like most Mother's Day sermons are like from the white dude that's you know. So
It's like, let
oh.
me teach you how to be a better mom and like really.
This week we're going to talk about abortion.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. This is the week to talk about abortion. You know, it's like forget the mothers. You know. All right. Cheers.
I'm just gonna sit right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I turn this towards you? So
Yeah,
the
I guess
camera
so. Mhm.
for the YouTubers that want to
Yeah.
know where we are.
All right. This is going to be participatory. There's classroom participation in this week because so I'm teaching on we're doing our how to live. It says how to live. Last time I taught, I said the series was called How To, and Corey got really mad at me and he was like, it's called How to Live. So how to live. And so coming off of that, I was thinking about like, okay, what do I want to talk about for Mother's Day? Do I want to just gear toward moms in the room or do I want to gear toward just women? And I, juggled around a few things and I kept coming back to like how to parent. I was like, I feel like I'm going to do that because I was like, well, that's very fitting for Mother's Day. And anyone else in the room who's not a parent, there's still like lots of great principles in the world of parenting that anyone could use. And so I started like coming up with this like message and I realized I was not really, I was talking about parenting, but I was really talking about something totally different. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to talk about this then because this is what I'm talking about. So today we're talking about how to live out loud. And we're going to talk about values. And so I want you to think, this is the classroom participation time. What does think back to what you know about Jesus in the Bible and just what are things that you think he values? Yes, it's classroom participation.
I didn't know if this
Since we have a group this small, then I think it is a perfect opportunity for us to all join in. So what does Jesus value? How do you know?
That's me to explain. I know, but I don't know how to explain on the spot. I don't know if this is the way that he treated people.
Okay.
His always compassionate.
Yeah.
Well,
So no, that's great. So the way he treated people.
he washed people's feet.
Yes. Okay. Great.
I would never do that.
So he's compassionate because of the way he treated people. What else? What else would we? His value is sinners.
No, he valued sin.
Yes. How do you know?
Ask me now. Because Jesus came to seek and save that which was lost.
How do you know that?
Mark 10:45 from his very mouth.
Okay, so he talked about it.
Guys, I went to seminary, y'all.
Yeah. So he talked about it. What else does he value? How do you know? Because he did it. Yeah. What else?
Fellowship.
How do you know?
Surrounded himself with good people, and he did take time to be by himself, but he was always around people, and he had his 12 disciples that he spent time with.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are things that Jesus did not value? What? Say it.
No, mine's really good.
Okay. How do you know?
It seems like the only time Jesus had heart was with us people.
Okay. Yes. What else would you say, I feel pretty confident he didn't value this? What, anything?
Playing off like exclusion,
Mm-hmm.
pushing people away.
You also treat things nice. I love when things work. So classroom participation is over.
I'm like, it's like a classroom.
Yeah, so that worked really well. Their values are like, you clearly can define what a value is by when we talk about how we know if someone values something or not. Because basically a value marks something that is important to you, and it can also mark what is not important to you. Because just as easily as we were able to say, these are all the things that Jesus values, it's just as easy to say, and based on these things, I know he probably doesn't value these things. And we see those things come up. We see like what his values are in the way that he talks. But like if he just talked about it. So Corey mentioned the talking one, like they came to seek and save the lost. So Jesus just did that, like just said it all the time. But we had no evidence of him actually moving toward people that were sinners, or washing people's feet, or making room at his table, or coming and sitting at their table. Would we think that he actually values that? No. And we all probably know in our own lives or other people that are all talk and no walk, right? And we also oppositely can look at people's lives, and we could look at Jesus, and there's a lot of things that he didn't talk about, but that he did. Like Jesus never said, I'm firmly against religious assholes. Like that's not a red letter in the Bible, but it should be. But we can see by the way he acted and the way he responded to things, and feel pretty confident that he did not value that kind of behavior and that kind of person, right? But so there's like values can go both ways, in that like sometimes we have values that we're not talking about, but they're coming out in our lives. And then we have sometimes that we might name something as a value and say like, oh yeah, I'm really about this. And we can't see it anywhere, right? Or maybe someone else is doing it and we're looking at them and we're like, I'm not really sure that's what you value. And so, but a value ultimately is a guiding principle. It's like, what did he say? North Star. It's a North Star. And sometimes, like I said, it can be the South Star. It can be the thing that we're running toward and saying like, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm about. This is what I care about. This is what is important to me. It can be that thing that's leading. And it can also be the thing that we're saying, I am not about this. Like, I don't want to be associated with that. I don't want to spend my time on that. I don't want to give my energy to that. And it can be the thing we're moving away from. But ultimately, it's supposed to be like a guidepost for us in our lives. So I'm going to read this piece of scripture that's going to help us to. Oh, it's that. It's like, what's the swishing? I can hear that. Is that your fan on your computer? Yeah, that's a little sad. So ultimately, I told Corey, when I was coming up trying to talk about values, I was like, I don't even know if I need to use scripture, because like all of scripture is pretty much speaking to this. Like, because all of scripture, like the entirety of the Bible, is about values. Because ultimately, it's story after story after story. I can pull anybody and say, this is what they valued, or this is where they didn't have values and it didn't work so well for them. This is where they said one thing and did another thing. So all of scripture is about values, but there's a proverb that if any of you all might have grown up and heard it, and it's probably recited to you in the KJV, because that's how I knew it, which is, where there is no vision, where thou hast no vision, people perish, is like how it is. Thou hast. So where thou hast no vision, people perish. But a more of the times translation of this is Proverbs 29:18, that I really love, which is kind of the jumping off point for today, is when there is no clear prophetic vision, people quickly wander astray. But when you follow the revelation of the word, heaven's bliss fills your soul. And I love that so much. And don't let the word prophetic throw you off. Hopefully it won't, because of what we talked about a couple weeks ago. But ultimately what that means is like, hey, when like God has given you a stirring in your heart and a passion and like things to a direction, when he's given you a direction and that's clear and you can name it and you can build your life around it, then you're not going to wander astray. When there's none of that, our lives are going to feel chaotic. We're going to be tired. We're going to be frustrated. We're going to feel aimless. We're going to be angry. But where we have clear vision and clear direction about like, this is what my life is about. This is the North Star. This is the direction I'm moving. These are the choices I'm making. Then heaven's bliss is going to fill our soul. So if any of y'all want heaven's bliss this morning, we're going to talk about how to get it. Okay? And my goal this morning is to make this really practical and short. So, values. Let's talk about why they are important. I have 5 points, but we'll see if we can come up with them in the room before we jump into them. So, I've already kind of given you little nuggets of hints about why values are important and just that little intro, but why are values important? Like, why have them? Why are we talking about them this morning? How? You got the first one. Good job, Leah. The very first one is values determine how we show up. So what I mean by that is that when we have values, and when we, like all of us, we really all do kind of value something. I wouldn't say that all of us have values, but we all have like something. But I don't think that values is one of those things like we all, there's a lot of those things that's like, we all worship something. It's just like, is it God? It's not, values is not one of those things. Like some of us literally don't have anything we value. We're just like living life minute by minute and like are swayed whichever thing, like, well, this is here right now, I'll do this, or so-and-so did that, I'll do that. Like, it's not necessarily one of those things that like we all have values. It's like, do we just know what they are, or are they the right ones? We might not have any values. You might literally just be wandering in life. But values, by establishing them and naming them, it's going to determine how we show up. And so I'm going to talk to you all, like I'm going to describe all these points with mine and Corey's values, because a couple of years ago, we decided to sit down and really establish like our family's values, which is why this was originally the parenting one. Because in my world, mine and Corey's world of parenting and in life, I didn't realize this was going to make a change in my life. I thought this was just going to help me parent better, but it has literally made all facets of our lives better and easier and more life-giving. Heaven's bliss has filled our souls. But a few years ago, our kids were getting bigger and we were transitioning into the phase of like, I don't just have to keep this person alive anymore. I need to actually like shape them as a human being, and which is like super scary. And so I was like, gosh, I just feel like I'm all over the place. Like every decision felt really heavy, and I felt like I was getting frustrated all of the time. Everything felt like it was the biggest thing. And I was feeling exhausted, and I was feeling frustrated. I was feeling like I was panicked all the time. And so we were like, okay, let's sit down. I had read a book. I'm going to plug that book later. But I read a book and they talked a lot about deciding family values. And I was like, you know what? I really think we need to do this. Like, this would just be really helpful for us to kind of have like, where are we trying to go as a family? And so we originally came up with 5. And then in the recent years, while trying to like use those, we have added a 6th one. So our family values are fun, surprise, obviously, fun, togetherness, generosity, hospitality, and gratitude. And the 6th one that we have added as we have kept going is grit. And so those are our 6 family values. And so what this looks like, and when I say this determines how we show up, is fun is a family value for us. That's not going to be everyone's, but for us, we looked and we decided to like, yeah, we are not only do we like to have fun, because this is a value is not just like, yeah, I enjoy it, or yeah, it's great, because there's a lot of great things, right? Like there are a lot of values you can have. And I will give you a resource to help you all see like lots of ones to choose from, but to give language. But for us, it was like, this is not just like we like to have fun or fun is fun. It was fun is a value of ours that like we're committed to pursuing it. We're committed to bringing it in the spaces we go. We're committed to like giving that more importance than other things. So that's what that looks like. So how that shows up very much in my house. This is how I show up with fun. Is that fun? Do you know what the antithesis of fun is? Cleanliness. It just is. They don't go together. How much fun have you ever had where you've also had to be really clean and tidy? Probably never. Like there's not a lot of clean and tidy fun. Fun means we're going to pull out toys. Fun means sometimes we're going to get really dirty. Fun means we're going to pull all the couch cushions off of the sofa. Fun means that we're going to play football in the house and a drink is going to get knocked over. Like that happened yesterday. Like these are fun things. Like fun is Shiloh plays in the water when it's 60 degrees outside because the sun is shining and he comes in soaking wet. Like all of those things, like, and the way this helps me is because used to, it was literally like a tug of war in my soul every time we had any of these moments, because I was like, oh gosh, like I love that this is happening, but isn't my house supposed to be clean? I love that this is happening, but don't we need to do these chores? I love that this is happening, but shouldn't we like have rules that we have no ball in the house? Like, do normal people let their kids ride scooters in the house? Like, you know, it was like, I know that this is fun, but aren't we supposed to be in bed by 7:45 every single night? Like, don't we have to keep to that schedule? And it was like, I mean, do you all feel that? Like, I know you all have these moments where it feels like this, like, I like this, but isn't it supposed to be this way? Or I like this, but aren't I supposed to do this? And when we said no, in our family, fun is going to be a value, that doesn't mean that the tug of war doesn't try to inch back up. Like yesterday it did, and I lost it and I forgot what I valued and I got frustrated because the glass of water spilled when we were playing football in the house. And I got frustrated because for a moment I forgot what I valued. And I was like, no, I just rearranged this entire living room and got it clean, and you all just knocked over this water. And for a moment, I forgot that I don't value cleanliness. Doesn't mean that it's not important, and it doesn't mean that I don't like it sometimes, but that's not what our family is aiming for. I forgot a value, and I crushed my kids in a moment because I forgot that. But I was able to pull back and be like, you know what? We value fun here, and that's what we're doing. And to be like, hey guys, let's just clean this up real fast and go back out. And I just sent them outside, and it's fine. But in that moment, it was able to help me determine the way I show up. And it helps us when we go somewhere, we know that's what we're looking to do. Like, we're looking to be the good time, where it doesn't mean everything has to be a party, but like, know that like our mission as a Sanders family is to go and bring joy. Like, that's what we're here for. And other people are going to do other things, and they're going to have things that they value. But for us, we're coming and we're looking in every spot. Like, how do we add joy here? Because that is a value of ours, right? Does that make sense? So values help determine how we show up in a place, like what we are bringing to the table, what we are doing in our home, what we are doing in our jobs, what we are doing on the weekends. Values help us determine those things. Sanders are getting excited on the weekends every time. All right, so they help us determine how they show up. Well, why else do we think values are important? You're not allowed to tell us another one. There are no teachers' pets here, Leah. What else? No other ideas? Man, I'm giving you all brand new material. All right.
They lead us back to where you could be looking at.
That is we'll say that's close to number 4. Great, Kevin.
I'll say close.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I will say that's close to number 4, which is they help us evaluate how we're doing. Because, and this is the way they do that, is because if I have not established what my values are, how do I know if I'm where I'm at or how I'm doing? Right? And so if you're ever in life and you're starting to feel like that, I call it angst, like that, I don't even know, like, who knows how I'm doing? Like, I don't even know, like, what my life is supposed to be about. Like, if you've ever sat and like down on the couch at night, you're like, are we even doing what we're supposed to be doing? Like, do we even know what we're supposed to be doing? If we've ever had that thought, like that feeling of just like, I don't know, like, or if we're like, I feel like I used to know what I was doing and now I have no idea what my life is supposed to be about. Like those feelings, values are the grounding to keep us coming back to like, this is what you're doing. The grounding and the coming back. Good job, John. But that's what they are. They help us evaluate how we're doing, because it's really hard to measure yourself when you have no idea what form of measurement you're doing. Because I can look at, I will say Blake and Taylor, because we're both Sanders, but our values are very different. And you could tell that just by looking at us or talking to us for like 10 seconds. Neither ones are good or bad. They are different values. And so if I judge my family based on their set of values, we would be failing, like major failing, because we're not going after the same things. Like we are maybe in a grand scheme, but on the how that actually plays out in our lives. And that's why this is important to talk about. It's because I can't just say like, oh, we're all running after God. Like we're all running to be like Jesus. Because you know what? Jesus embodied so much. And so like, I can't just go after Jesus. Well, what does that look like for me? Because it's going to look very different for me and Taylor as we mother. The way we do that is very different. And that's not good or bad, but it's honoring to who she is and the way God has made her and the way God has made her family and the way God has made her children. It's also very different for me and the way God has made me and the way God has made my family and the way God has made my children. And so if I don't know what I value and the way I need to show up, and I look at her, I'm going to feel like a failure every single day because I'm failing. I'm not doing the same things. Like my kids have a lot of screen time. And I don't know if Walter's ever had a screen time. I don't even think they own electronics. Like, you know, like that. It's like Shiloh wears colors, bright, bold, rainbow dinosaurs. And he does. But like Walter is wearing a matching linen set this morning, and Shiloh's got Captain America. Like we are failing. These are all like very superficial things, but we're failing. Do you see what I mean? Like just really superficially, I can start to feel like I'm failing because I'm looking at what she values and the choices that they have made, and I'm measuring myself by that. And then what happens when we start doing that, when I don't know what I value and I've not established that, not only am I going to feel like I'm failing, but then I'm going to feel like fundamentally something's wrong with me, because those things are never going to be things that I choose. Because I could look at her and be like, oh, well, she looks like she's killing it as a mom, so I should do all the things that she's doing. I should value all the things she values since she's killing it, and that will make me kill it. But it won't. It will crush me because I'm not built the same. And ultimately, I don't love the same things that she does. That's not bad or right or wrong, good or bad. It's different. And I'm not meant to live that way, right? This is there's no prophetic word. When there's no prophetic word, when I'm making this not about what God is telling me about myself and about our family, I'm making this about someone else, I'm going to wander astray and it's going to crush me because I'm not meant to live by someone else's values. Right? So this having this set of values helps me to evaluate how we are doing. So I can look at another one of our values, togetherness. This value especially bumps up against this for me a lot because togetherness is one of the Sanders family values. And so what that means is we try to spend time together. Like whatever we're doing, we try to do it together. And that looks very wrong to some people. Because what that means is we do basketball together. And baseball. So now, since November, we have been in sports world since November. And a lot of our time is going to sports. And to other people, that does not look good. To other people, that's not a good choice. And I know that, and I feel that. I feel that like other people don't understand the choices we're making. But this helps me to realize that we are succeeding though, because my family is together in all of that. We spent the whole season of basketball, my family together. We spent the whole season of baseball, my family together. And so on our measuring stick, we are killing it because my kids and I and Corey are all together. We're having a good time. We're doing things as a family. We're cheering each other on. We're supporting each other. And it doesn't have to make sense to other people. It doesn't have to be what other people choose. But for our family and for this season, it's the right choice. And so I get to know when I start feeling those insecurities and I start feeling those swirly thoughts of like, does everyone, like I want other people's approval. I want other people to think we're making the right choices. I can know, no, we decided that togetherness is a value and this is the way we're being together right now. That can also look maybe at like every night is at home. But right now it looks like every night, most nights are out at a ball field or in a basketball court. And that's just fine because we're together, right? See how that is? It's freeing. It's life-giving. All right, another one. Who has one? See if we can get them. Come on, guys. Real quick or I'll start flying through them. All right, I'll fly through them. So third is they help pre-make decisions for us. Who ever gets decision fatigue in this room? Taylor's like, I have it right now. I've been trying to decide if I want to go to the bathroom and I haven't been able to decide. Yeah. Decision fatigue is a real thing. Okay. What that means, if you've never heard that, is like literally the idea of choosing anything, whether this is like life-changing choices or just like what do you want to eat for a snack, feels paralyzing. Like it feels like so much is on the line. Like, do I want chips or do I want to make a healthy choice? I don't know. And so sometimes what that means is either we go with both and we get too much. Sometimes that means we just paralyze and we're like, you know what? I'm not even hungry anymore. I will not eat anything. Kevin's like, are you inside her heart?
Every day I'm like, did you eat lunch today or did you get paralyzed?
Yeah, just couldn't decide. And so decision fatigue is real. And in our world, we have I think there's a statistic that we make like 100,000 decisions every single day. Like it's like an insane amount because it's like you have to think that there's some decisions that are easy for you because we have automated them. Like no one, hopefully no one in this room is getting up in the morning and having to decide whether or not to brush their teeth. That is an automated decision that we have pre-made long ago that in the morning we're going to get up and brush our teeth. Like no one in here is like having to decide like, am I going to wear clothes today? Like we have already pre-decided that we are going to wear clothes. Maybe we haven't decided what clothes, but we've already decided because there's certain decisions that are automated. And then there's micro decisions like what clothes do we wear? When do I brush my teeth? And like all of these things can start to add up and be exhausting by the end of the day. So anytime we can automate something, we should. And so that's what values can do. They literally are going to be freedom for you and there are burden lifted off because there's so many decisions that we are making that are hard and burdensome and heavy. And that's not the way we are meant to live. Like the reason Jesus was able to walk around unhurried and the reason he was able to decide, like if you go back and read through the Gospels, there was so many times that Jesus was like multitudes of people and he's just like, peace, and he just leaves. And I'm like, I don't know why I never noticed that before, but I'm like, what is he doing? Like there are so many people around. Isn't people what he's supposed to value? Yes. And rest is something he values, right? And so because he had already determined at some point that rest was something he's valued, and because of that, he's determined that at certain points, I will not do anymore. So even when people are still standing here, I have cut it off. Even when it's this time of day, I will cut it off. Like at these points, at these times, in these places, these are choices that I'm making. It's freedom. It's relief. It's a burden lifted. And that's what values do. So one of Corey and I's values is generosity, right? And so that means that there are choices that we know we're always like, there are things that are always going to be yeses for us. Always. Like, we're not even going to think about them. Like, we're not going to try to consider, like, do we have the time? Do we have the money? Do we have the energy? Because generosity is something we value as a family. It's something we're trying to teach our kids. We will always say yes to generosity. Now, the degree to which we're going to say yes to that might be different. That's a decision we have to make. But we're always going to say yes. So if it comes to like someone needs something, we're going to say yes. Someone needs our time, we're going to say yes. Someone needs our resources, we're going to say yes. It's an automatic yes. We're not even considering it. We're not trying to decide, do we want to do that or not? It's just a yes, because generosity is something we value, right? So when my kids, now what this looks like is when I'm parenting my children and they're trying to decide, do I want to share this? Do I want to give this, do this? Then we're like, well, we're generous in our family, so we need to do that. That will be good for us to do. We are teaching our kids to give. We're not hoarders. It changes the way we talk about things in our home and how we go after things and the way we are talking about that, because we've already pre-decided that generosity is a value. And so therefore, anything that has to do with that is now predetermined for us, right? And so I can look on that on the other way. Like, we can go back to togetherness. The togetherness is a value. So now it helps me to make decisions when something comes up. I already know, well, is that going to take away togetherness for us? Because if it does, then we're not choosing that. That's an easy no. Like, the reason right now sports work for us is because we can do it together. At some point, we're going to have to make some hard decisions, because there might reach a point where sports they might bump up against that togetherness value, right? And so now that's not a weighty decision. That's just either this is no longer a value that's serving our family, or this is an easy no, right? Do you see how that works? Is values really start helping you make decisions that we give so much time and energy to, and they take so much out of us because we don't know what our life is even supposed to be about. When everything is on the table, when everything is an option, we can't make those kind of decisions. So we have to take away options for us. It's much easier to decide, do you want a cream puff or a chocolate tart? But if I give you the whole dessert tray, that's much harder decision, right? And so take away all of the options. Values help you predetermine things. All right, moving on. Values protect us from jealousy and guilt. Now, I know that most of you in this room are probably not like me and are just seething with envy all the time. That's probably just me. None of you all have ever struggled with jealousy, but I struggle with jealousy all the time. It is like a constant in my life. I'm an Enneagram 4, so envy is my dirty sin that I'm going to always struggle with. But I think all of us at some level struggle with jealousy in some way, shape, or form, and guilt. But values are going to protect you against that. So if any of you are struggling in here with guilt and shame or jealousy, congratulations, here is a great protection. Because what I mean by that is, let's go back to the me and Taylor situation. I am no longer jealous of her, because I can easily allow myself to be like, why do they get to, and hear this language. Let this be a trigger for you. I will sit on my social media and I will look at people who make different life choices than we do, right? And I'm like, why do they get to have these aesthetically pleasing playrooms and our lives are just wrecked? Our house is wrecked all the time, right? Do you hear me? You already know that this is ridiculous because I've already told you about choices we've made, right? But I will sit here and I will still, I will get depressed with jealousy if I let myself. And I have to stop and be like, Emily, you don't even want those things, right? But it's so, our hearts are bent toward wanting to want, and it can be a God-given thing, but I have to train my heart to want the right things, to want the things that we want, right? Because I will miss the fact that the reason our house is wrecked is because my kids feel safe to just be buck wild fun in that house. And that's a really good thing. That is a great thing. But if I'm not careful with my values, then I will start to crave and to feel guilty as a mother that I've chosen different things for my family, that my life doesn't look the way someone else's does. And I will forget that I've made different choices. And that's okay. It is okay for me to look different. And so I stopped feeling so jealous. Doesn't mean that that doesn't come up, but I know how to squash that real fast right now. Because now I'm like, nope, that's just not something we're after. And that's okay. So the guilt comes up because I was talking to one of my good friends about this. She's a children's pastor at her church in Texas. And they don't call her children's pastor there, if you're wondering, because it's in Texas, but I call her that. Children's director is what they call her, but in my mind, she's a children's pastor. I remind her of that very often. And but they're actually talking about values with their parents right now. And so we were talking about it, and she was like, yeah, one of our family's values is that we're always helpers. And I immediately feel so much guilt and shame because I'm like, that is so good. And I'm like, gosh, how shallow are we that one of our values is fun and theirs is being helpers? Like, we're horrible people. I'm a horrible parent. And this is all happening like in 30 seconds. I start spiraling. I'm like, why didn't we think of that? Like, that is so bad. Like, there's so much better parents than us. Here we are teaching our kids, like, hey guys, be resilient and have fun. And they're like, anywhere we go, we're going to look to find someone to help. And I'm like, I'm a horrible parent. I have ruined my children. All of that, you look at me laughing, but you all have been down the spiral, right? We all spiral. And immediately I was like, you know what? No. Because one, having different values is not good or bad. There are no good and bad. I mean, if your value is murdering people, that's not a good value. But like for the most part, values are not good and bad. They're just different. It is not like, because my value is not to be a helper does not mean that I can never help or that we can never teach our kids to do that. But that's not my North Star. That's not how I'm showing up everywhere. That's not what we're talking about in our house all the time. Because you know what? Joy is equally as important. It is equally as important to come up and be like, hey, it's okay to like have a good time and cut loose as it is for them to enter the space and to help. Because you see what? If we were all in a room together and all of us entered in these ways, there's a lot of things going to be happening, and that's good. If we were all looking to help each other, we would be annoying the poop out of each other. Like, oh, and let me help you. And you're like, no, let me help you. And I'm like, no, let me help you. Like, that would be so annoying. Someone's getting punched if that is happening, right? But if everyone in their unique ways are doing what they're doing, what they're after, then it's a good time. So it's okay. So I was able to pull back and be like, you know what? No. We know what God has called us to. We know who we are. We know where we're at, and it's okay. We're going to stay the course. And I let it go. Guilt released. Want some of that in your life? Moving on. Last one. So they determine how we show up. They pre-make decision for us. They protect us from jealousy and guilt, and they help us evaluate how we're doing. Last one of why these are important. It helps us to get over it or fight for it. This is a big one because I know that a lot of us, like I said, we can sit in that spiral a little bit, right? And so values help you get over it because sometimes you just need to get over it. Like, you just need to look at yourself and be like, get the crap over it. Because we will get ourselves in a tizzy and we'll feel sorry for ourselves. We'll throw ourselves a pity party because I do it all the time. One of our values is hospitality. We love to have people in our space. Our home is free game. So a couple weeks ago over Easter, I had 4 new women in my house. My sister, her wife, and our 2 nieces. We have a very small home. It does not have room for 4 more humans in it, but yet we invited them in. They stayed at our house for 3 days. Because why? When she asked me, I didn't even think about it. It's a yes, because hospitality is something we value. I will make room for you all day, every day. Like, come on, let's go. Enter my home, right? Hospitality is a value of ours. I didn't even have to think about it. But what happens is, doesn't mean I'm immune to feeling frustrated about it, because now I have people in my home and, there's some girls running around everywhere and my kids are feeling the effects of it. I'm feeling the effects of it, right? But I got to get over it. I'm not letting myself have a pity party about it because I'm like, this is what I'm doing. This is what we are about. So I'm getting over it. I'm not because we can easily become a martyr because our values do cost us things. They will. If generosity is a value, it costs me my money and resources. And I can choose to let myself feel bad for that. And I can become a martyr or a victim real fast. But values do cost you something. When you make an active choice for something, you're also making an active choice against something else. And so we can choose to try to be like, all have a pity party about it. Or we can let our values say, no, I just got to get over it. If Jesus was going to be real, like take a stand against the assholes, he also had to know, like had to get okay that like they might murder him for it. And they did. Right? Sometimes like our choices like they can backfire in a way that we don't enjoy, but we can get over it. Because if we've really made a decision, if I really am committed and passionate and I want my life to be about this, then I have to be okay with all the other things that means. Right? So values help me get over it. They also help me fight for it. Because there's other times where I might be like, I don't know, like, should we, like, they don't think that's that important. Like, they do this, right? We can have those, you get in your head and you start being insecure and you start second guessing yourself. And values help me to know, no, like, I will not stand up for this. So that's how this really this is where this all started in parenting, because I know the battles I'm fighting for in my family. Like with my kids, that's why grit got added to our list. That's why gratitude is one we're still not very good at. But those are the two things you'll hear us say a lot in the Sanders household is Sanders don't quit. Like we don't quit in our house. If you're not giving up, you're not going to be like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. So we'll fight for that with our kids. You'll hear that come out of our mouths. You'll see that in the way we act, and we will fight for that. Like I'm not just going to be like, there's a lot of things like Shal wants to wear his shoes on the wrong feet. I'm not fighting that battle. I couldn't care less. Like visual appearance, not a value of the Sanders household. It is a Corey's, but but it's not Shiloh's. He's wearing blush this morning. If any of you all have noticed, like we just let him do it because he wanted to put makeup on with mommy this morning, so he's wearing blush. And he said this is what it looks like when I eat someone else's food, which I thought was also sad and funny. But yeah, but anyways, I'm not fighting that battle because that's not something I care about. But when Judah wants to give up baseball because he got hurt one time, I'll fight that because we don't quit in this house. We're fighters. We do hard things. That is something we say all the time. And so I will fight for that. I'm not giving in to him being like, oh, I don't want to do it anymore. Okay, buddy, it's fine. That's okay for other parents. Some parents make that choice. But in our house, we don't quit. We do hard things. We enter the danger, right? And so we're going to fight that battle. It helps me know what I'm fighting for. When my kids start getting real petty with mom and are like, you never let me do anything, I will enter that danger and fight that battle because gratitude is something we value. And that there's no gratitude in that attitude. Like that? There's no gratitude in that. So I'll fight that battle because this is not who we are. And that's the language I get to start using for myself and for my kids. I have to fight that battle in myself. But this is not who I am. I don't sit here and get mad that I didn't get what I deserve or I don't have what I need because that's not gratitude. And that's not who I am. That's not what I'm about. So I fight for that. And so that means like sometimes I'm going to make my kids turn in reports about how much they love each other over the summer because we're going to learn gratitude and we're going to fight for that in my house. Right? So it helps us to know how to get over it and how to fight for it. All right, real quick. I said this was going to be short, guys. I'm really sorry. It's a growing point for me. All right, real quick. These last things are easy. Things to remember. This is just going to be bullets. If it's not your value, you can still care about it. So just a memory, so helping. That's not one of our values. I can still care about it. I can still want my kids to learn how to help. I can still look for ways to help. But that's just not going to be the fundamental value in our family, right? So just because you're not naming it as a value does not mean that you can't care about it. I say that because I'm going to post on our little app thing a list of values. There's like 100 on there. They're all good stuff, okay? So you can't have 100 values. You can't. Like you cannot, we feel pretty packed in by 6. I asked Corey if we could give up gratitude, and he said no. So I'm like, we're just not doing good at it. Can we give up it? Can we just give it up and replace it with grit? And he's like, no. Yeah. So no more than 10 though. Like if it's more than you can, you can quickly rattle off a name, you have too many. Because the point of this, remember, is why we said those are important. If you can't remember what you're after, then it's not going to help you in these situations. They have to be easily recallable. They have to be important. They have to show up in your language. They have to show up in your day-to-day. Remember, we looked at Jesus. People should hear you talking about it. People should see it in your life. Someone should be able to go up. Like I should be able right now, like Kate should be able to ask Kevin, what does Corey value? And Kevin answer. So that's like a good way to think about it. It's like if someone were to ask a friend of yours what you're about and you're not sure if they would be able to answer, then you don't have values, right? It doesn't mean that they'd have to get all of them. We only named a handful. I think Jesus probably had more values than 3. We named 3. But they should be able to say something. And that should come out on the way we talk. It should come out in the way we spend our money, the way we use our time, all of those things. But just because it's not a value does not mean you can't care about it. I just want you to know about that. Okay, next. Things to remember. Your values can change and probably should. So, Jordan and Andrew are newlyweds. They are in their early 20s. They have no children. I encourage them to pick values right now. However, if 2 years from now, they have a child and are in their how old are you all? 24? Great. So they're going to be in their later 20s and early parenthood. Their values should probably change. Doesn't mean all of them might, but they might choose things right now as a early married, younger couple with no children. They're probably going to value certain things now that might need to change with a different season of life, right? Because it's going to be just as frustrating as it would be to not have values at all. It will be equally as frustrating to continually bump up against your values because you're trying to aim for something that is outside of what you're able to do, right? Like Corey and I, one of our values right now is not building wealth. That would be incredibly deflating because he's in ministry. We have young children and we're actively choosing things that allow us to not build wealth. Fun, togetherness, hospitality, and generosity. None of those are really great for wealth building, right? So you see what I mean? So like be aware of your season of life, of the things that are within your control at the time, and make smart choices, right? So your values will probably change and fluctuate. Now, should these be changing every day? No. Like they're probably not a value if they're that fluid. But in a few years, because we're going to enter into teenage world. So when Molly Kate gets into middle school, Judah is in middle school, we're probably going to reevaluate our values because our family is going to look really different at that point than it does right now. And our values right now look very different than they did when we were in Portland. And that's why they have to change, because I very easily start to feel like we're failing because our lives look really different than they did in Portland. But our family was really different than it was in Portland because we had teeny tiny young kids that didn't have lives. Their lives were what was our lives. But now I have children that our charge is to teach them how to be a friend, to teach them how to serve other people. And so now our lives are their lives. And if I keep looking at our values from before and trying to make them our values now, we're going to be failing, right? And we're going to be failing our kids. And so my values had to change, and they're going to have to change again. All right, so last thing, because I'm sure all of you all are wondering, how do we choose? Is that what you were wondering? Good. Okay, how do we choose? These are 4 things to think about. These are not like the only 4 things to think about, but these are 4 things to think about. How do you choose your values? 1, what are your passions? So like very easily, like you need to know, like, what am I about? Like, what do I love? What energizes me? What strikes up a lot of emotions in me? Pull back, ask people, hey, what do you think I talk about a lot? Like, what would you say I'm passionate about? Because chances are you are, like I said, chances are it is coming out some way, shape, or form. You might not have it very named, but someone could probably pull somewhere, get you going on the right track. So ask people that are close to you. Like if you had to say what I value, what would I value? Because that's either going to do one or two things to you. That's either going to solidify, yes, okay, that's great. That is something I value. Or like, oh gosh, I do not want my life to look like I value that. So I need to start making different choices, right? And so ask people around that know, like, what do you think I'm passionate about? What do you feel like I talk about a lot? And just like thinking with you and your spouse or with you by yourself, like, what am I passionate about? What do I want my life to be about? 2, what are your gifts? Meaning like, not spiritual, I mean, maybe spiritual gifts, but just like, what's your gifts to the world? Like, how do you enjoy showing up? Like think about walking into a big party. What role are you taking in that room? Right? Like I said, my friend, she's like, I'm always looking how I can help. And that's a great value. That's natural for her. That's not out of her realm of, that's just how she's already like, this is what we're already doing. Her husband is the same way, maybe even more so. It's like painful. They're just so helpful. That's not clear. And, but naturally we can be the life of the party. You don't even have to ask us. Like, we're showing up that way. Right. And sometimes that's obnoxious and sometimes that's awesome. But what is your gifts? Like, how are you naturally showing up? Like, what are you naturally inclined to do? And that's sometimes hard to see, because sometimes what's so natural in us, we assume is like, oh, well, that's everybody. It's not everybody. So again, if you need help, ask for help. Like, what do you think I naturally do? Like, what are you thinking that I'm naturally good at? Because that's going to really shape the way it is. And it has to be for your family or just for you. But like, think about your gifts. Next, you need to consider your season of life. So Gabe here, I encourage him. He's a single dude. He's getting ready to start college. He needs some values going into college, like major. You really better do this, because he's going to have the world is his oyster, right? Like, he's going to be, are you living on campus? Mm-hmm. He's moving out. He's not going to have parents. He's going to have all new people, all new opportunities. Values are going to be really important, but you better believe that his values are going to be very different than your all's values, and they're going to be very different than your all's values, right? Because all three of them are in very different seasons of life. And so you have to consider your season of life, because if you don't, you're going to be trying to shoot after things that are like impossible for you to like go after. And then you're going to be feeling like a failure. The point of values is to get after the life that Jesus promised us, which is free and full and joy-filled and heaven's bliss in our soul. We are not meant to walk through life feeling burdened and exhausted and tormented and like we're failing. That is just opposite of what Jesus models for us. And so don't set yourself up for that by giving yourself a value that is unattainable in this season of life. The last one is anger, which is why I asked, what is Jesus not about? Because sometimes a great way to find about what you value is to think about what really gets you like fired up. Because you know what? It bothers me that people don't have a place that they feel safe. I get real fired up about that. Like, I cry every time I talk about wanting to foster teenagers, because I can't stand the idea that someone has nowhere to go on Thanksgiving. So that's why hospitality is like for sure a value of ours, because I get mad when I think that people like don't feel safe in their home. Like, it will enrage me, right? I hate greedy people. Cannot stand it. I refuse to be stingy. And I say that to our kids all the time. I will be like, I refuse for us to be stingy. So when I hear my kids going, that's mine, and having this like white knuckling something, it like enrages me. When you have that feeling like I will die before I do this, that's a value. Like, I will die before I let my kids white knuckle something and say it's mine. It's not going to happen. That doesn't mean that has to be your value. But for me and Corey, we are not about that. And so think of, like, start being attentive to your soul. What is that thing that you're willing to like, what's that argument that you and your spouse have because you are like you all feed off each other and you're like, oh my gosh, did you see that happen? And they're like, yes. And you all are like, it sounds like you're really mad at each other, but you're both just really mad together. Like, you know what I mean? Like, "Ugh." What is that? Listen to those things. That's the value. It's pointing you to something. So that's how you choose. And there's lots more things, but those are 4 easy things. But ultimately, remember, the values are supposed to be to offer you freedom. They're supposed to be to bring joy. They're supposed to remove exhaustion and jealousy and guilt. They are guideposts in our life. They're the North Star. Like, this is where I'm going. This is how I'm doing. And it literally, if I could point to anything in the last, when did we do this? Like 2018? However many years ago that is. That has probably been the fundamental, best thing that we've ever done. Because it's just literally helped me to know and be sure of who I am and what our family is about and how I show up in the world. It's so good. So I will post that list. It's very exhaustive and it doesn't mean that you even have to choose one. I don't think grit is on that list, but it's just become something that we realize, oh, we talk about this all the time. Judah says it to some, he said it to somebody the other day. They're like, hey, do you want to take a break? And he said, Sanders, don't quit, because he hears us say it all the time. Huh? He said, Sanders, don't quit. Well, then you need to change the way Judah says it.
Yeah, he misses it.
But we do hard things, and that's the spirit of it. We do hard things so we don't give up. And so grit's not on that list, but it's just become we know that our family is about that. But it is really helpful as a great way to start and to find it. All the rest of them came off of that list though. The book for the parents in the room or the people that want to become parents is Raising Passionate Jesus Followers. It's by Mama and Papa Comer. If you know John Mark Comer, it's by his parents. They are, Bill and Diane. It is an incredible book. It is a great, easy read. And it's just incredibly practical of just principles to have in your home. It was really life-changing for me. So it's a great book. But I'll post that. And like I said, I encourage everyone to do this. Do not give yourself more than 10. Maybe start little, like these ones are short, and then start listening to yourself and hearing and seeing what your choices you're making to kind of help you develop the other ones. Or maybe you're like, I know that this is not in our family at all, like gratitude, and it's not necessarily natural, but I want our life to be about it. That's not always a bad thing to have in there. That's why I want to take it out. But we want our life to be about gratitude. So that's okay too. And then the next step, which is the part Corey and I are working on now. And this is evolving. So we're, like I said, we started in 2018. We added one since then, and now we're on this step. But we're trying to add mantras to it. So that's why that we don't ever give up or we do hard things. We want hey, we value grit because we do hard things. And so we want that language in our family. We want that language for ourselves. And so being able to come up with any kind of verbiage like that is just always helpful to call us back, because we need to remember, like I said, this vision, we're going to wander astray. If we don't remind ourselves of what we believe, we're going to start wandering astray. So I encourage you all to do that, and I'm here to help if you need it. That's it. Sorry it wasn't shorter.
My computer is about to take off, isn't it? I don't know why. Probably because I have 15,
it sounds like what I go to sleep to.
All right, y'all. Cheers. Dinner Thursday, 6:30. We should do a theme night. What should we do? Taco night? No, it's all right. I want to go all out. Let's go all out and do something themed and everything. So we'll do that. I thought about we rescheduled the Tuesday bonfire thing for this week, and if people are interested, we'll do it. If not, then we'll postpone it again. So does that sound good? Huh? Tuesday night bonfire.
Judah has a baseball game.
Somebody just.
But I think we might be there on Thursday.
Oh, there you go. Cheers.
Huh? Yeah. I think we went to 1.
It's possible.
I said we just
Next year, maybe.
No,
next fall.
Just until we, people aren't doing anything.
after next week, school is done and our lives blow up
Yeah.
with possibilities.
Cool. Well, we'll do a Thursday dinner. We'll theme it out. It'll be a lot of fun. So, our place. Anything else we need to say?
Hug your mom.
Hug your mom today. Yeah. Mom, you always were a perfect fan. All right. Cheers.
Nice.